Los Angeles is on fire. Facebook removes fact checkers, and McDonald's abandons DEI. No word if it'll come back for a limited time like the McRib. That and more on this week's America Uncovered headlines. Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Chris Chappell. Let me tell you a tale of fire and ice. A polar vortex covered a large portion of the U.S. east of the Rockies in snow and ice. Over 1,300 flights were canceled due to winter storms, and over 300,000 people lost utilities and power. While the East Coast struggled with ice, the West Coast battled fire. The raging Santa Ana winds have helped massive fires spread across multiple parts of Los Angeles County. At least 10 people are dead, over 10,000 structures have burned, and 400,000 people have lost power in the worst fire LA has ever seen. I've seen some estimates that the damage may be over $50 billion. As if the situation wasn't bad enough, California got even more roasted by critics. Many are saying the LA Fire Department was unprepared to contain the spreading flames, and they're blaming it on DEI initiatives. And many, including Donald Trump, blame mismanagement for fire hydrants running out of water at one point, though city officials blame overwhelming demand. However, another issue may be that LA Mayor Karen Bass cut the city's fire department funding by $17.6 million to focus on the homeless problem. According to the report, the money intended to be used towards the homeless went largely unspent, which might be the first time in LA history that someone didn't overspend on something. While many were angry with Bass for cutting the fire department's budget mere months before all this went down, it's important to note the money was just a small percentage of the overall budget. And it's not like she could have been warned that this was going to be a problem or anything. Just kidding. Just last month, LA Fire Chief Kristen Crowley warned that the budget cuts would affect the department's ability to train for and respond to large-scale emergencies. And if my math is correct, the emergency scale is quite large. But don't worry, Los Angeles has plenty of manpower to fight these fires, and they're doing it in the most diverse, equitable, and inclusive way possible. Using prison inmates that are paid about $10 a day and only given a bologna sandwich as a meal to fight the fires. Yep, nothing says progressive more than finding loopholes in the 13th Amendment to coerce inmates who are injured 4 times more than firefighters into doing your bidding and saying, don't worry, this technically isn't slavery. So America is freezing on one end and burning on the other. Hopefully this song of ice and fire will have a less disastrous end than Game of Thrones. And no, I'm still not over it. President Biden announced an executive action that bans offshore drilling in 625 million acres of the Atlantic and Pacific Ocean. As you can imagine, Trump didn't take this last-minute move on Biden's part very well.
President Biden's actions yesterday on offshore drilling, banning offshore drilling, will not stand. I will reverse it immediately. It'll be done immediately. And we will drill, baby, drill.
So the outgoing president makes a decision the incoming president vows to reverse. Then whenever a new president comes in, they may try to re-reverse it. On and on, back and forth. Being an American citizen feels like being a child with parents who are in a messy custody battle for you. Sometimes you're with your Democrat mom who makes you mask up everywhere you go. And sometimes you're with your Republican dad, who lets you say whatever you want online. Thankfully, we only have to switch custody every 4 years minimum, otherwise we'd get the whiplash. Speaking of Trump, his election win was officially certified on January 6th, with Kamala Harris being the one to make it official.
Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida has received 312 votes. Kamala D. Harris Kamala D. Harris of the state of California has received 226 votes.
I have no idea why so many people say politics in America is just team sports. Sure, each side mindlessly cheers for their team, but at least sports is dignified enough to also include foam fingers and beer helmets. Plus, they have way better mascots. And after the break, Trump's hush money case sentencing. Welcome back. Hey, remember Trump's so-called hush money case where he was found guilty of falsifying business documents? Well, sentencing was set for January 10th. Trump's lawyers asked New York Judge Juan Merchan to delay the sentencing while they appealed the decision, but Merchan denied the request. Trump's lawyers brought the case to an appeals court, claiming Trump's presidential immunity should delay the sentencing, but the appeals court denied their request. And in a last-bid effort, Trump's lawyers filed an emergency application to the Supreme Court, asking them to halt his sentencing. But the Supreme Court sided with the appeals court and said Donald Trump could be sentenced on January 10th. So for about a minute, it looked like Trump would be the first convicted criminal to serve as president, which I'm sure brings great dishonor to all the unconvicted criminals who served before him. But then he was sentenced to unconditional discharge, which means that he will receive no punishments and no conviction on his record, although the discharge may stay on his record for a period of time. So I guess instead of becoming the first convicted criminal to serve as president, he's giving a whole new meaning to an unconvicted criminal serving as president. I don't know if that brings less or more dishonor to his predecessors. Meta has announced it's ending its fact-checking program in favor of a community note system similar to what X has. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg, who looks like the engineer alien from Prometheus, dressing up as Michael Cera for Halloween, says this is intended to allow more free speech on Meta, which has faced pressure in the past from media and government agencies to censor content.
The recent elections also feel like a cultural tipping point towards once again prioritizing speech. So we're going to get back to our roots and focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our policies, and restoring free expression on our platforms.
Getting back to the roots of Facebook? So you're using it to rate which girls at your college are the hottest. I've seen the social network. Zuckerberg also said they would be lifting restrictions on certain hot-button cultural issues.
We're going to simplify our content policies and get rid of a bunch of restrictions on topics like immigration and gender that are just out of touch with mainstream discourse. What started as a movement to be more inclusive has increasingly been used to shut down opinions and shut out people with different ideas, and it's gone too far.
I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I agree 100% with Mark Zuckerberg. If only he can convince the folks over here at YouTube to feel the same way, so we don't constantly get demonetized and have our channel throttled just for talking about at the Cleveland Cracker Barrel. Folks have a right to know not to order that menu item. In any case, I'm glad Zuckerberg is doing this because he feels it's the right thing to do. Oh, look, a beta for the Meta community notes just popped up on my previous statement. Zuckerberg's only doing this because Trump got elected and he doesn't want to be investigated for the censorship he was involved in. If Harris won the election, he would happily keep the fact checkers on because he doesn't care about the truth, only staying out of trouble. Oh, seems like it's working already. New York City began implementing congestion pricing for drivers in an attempt to relieve traffic. The congestion relief zone includes local streets and avenues in a large part of Manhattan and charges drivers $9 to enter the area. That price will increase to $12 by 2028 and $15 by 2031. Similar programs have been implemented in London, Singapore, and Stockholm. Proponents of this change say it will ease traffic, improve air quality, bring in billions of dollars of additional revenue, and reduce fatalities, as it will encourage New Yorkers to use other forms of transit. Because as we all know, the subways in New York City are super safe and never see any fatalities. However, opponents, of which Donald Trump is one, say this will not only price out many commuters who already have to pay to go through tunnels and bridges to enter the city, but cause many drivers to park their cars just outside of the zone, causing chaos for anyone who may live in those areas and need to find parking. New York Councilwoman Vicky Palladino criticizes the initiative, saying the similar program in London, which is often touted as a success for causing more people to take mass transit, also pushed out everyone but wealthy businesses and corporations in the area. And the citizens are so frustrated by it, they regularly deface and destroy the cameras used to enforce the fees. So while there are certainly positives to the program, the execution may leave a lot to be desired. And the last thing New York needs, besides extra cost in an already wildly unaffordable city, is more debate over executions in the streets. McDonald's announced it was ending goals for achieving diversity at senior leadership levels, and it will also end a program that encouraged its suppliers to increase the number of minorities in leadership roles. I don't know why McDonald's felt the need to become more diverse in the first place. They're already one of the most diverse companies around. How many businesses can you name where the leadership includes a hamburger man, a bird lady, and a purple sentient doorstopper? Doesn't get much more diverse than that. McDonald's is the latest business to roll back its diversity quotas over the past several months, following Harley-Davidson, John Deere, and Walmart. Which makes sense because if you've ever been to a Walmart after midnight, you'd end up wishing there was a little less diversity. And click here for the latest episode of my new show, Deep Thoughts While Gaming, where I talk about Marvel rivals and how far people will go to satisfy their passions. It's a sultry episode. Click here and let me know what you think. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. Thank you for watching America Uncovered.